Welcome to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast, your quality assurance consulting team. Quality is our highest priority for your business with one goal, one direction, success. And now here's your host, Charles Luttrell. Good morning, listeners. My guest today, Marris. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today on this little gloomy, rainy day again.
I know. Thank you for having me. So sorry it's taken me so long to get a date here, but I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
That's okay. That's right. Look, it took time, but I finally got you on. I'm excited about this interview today. So go ahead and tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Marris. I have a dessert business which started in Silver Spring, Maryland. I also run it with my sister, Melissa, who helps here and there with events and stuff. But basically, we started this business in 2020 at the height of COVID. We're pretty transparent with how we started in our story, but for your listeners here who aren't familiar, we started in 2020 when COVID had just hit, but also our dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So we couldn't really leave the house and we were taking care of him full time. So, we always wanted to start a bakery really, but at that moment, we were kind of stuck in the house and we were like, we need to make some money. We need to take care of him. So we were like, let's see if we can start this out of our home right now. So we like kind of almost as a joke, honestly, posted on Instagram asking if people would buy cinnamon rolls from us. And we totally did not think that it was going to be serious, but we got like 40 orders that day. Like people were like, wait, you're serious? Like, yes, I do want cinnamon rolls. And yeah, that's basically how we started. And we've been doing it since then.
Right. Hey, you kind of tied in a little bit, off of the first question here. But my second question was going to be, so why did you decide to be a business owner? What drove you to say, you know what, I think we can do this? Was it that
Yeah.
initial push of, look, want to buy buns from us?
Yeah, well, I was actually always interested in entrepreneurship. I actually minored in entrepreneurship in college at Towson.
Mhm.
So I kind of always had that mindset of like I'm interested in starting my own business, but I guess in a very ironic way in 2020 when things were lining up and we were in a tough spot with no jobs and we were like, hey, we've always talked about this dream. Let's
Mhm.
see if we can actually do it. And when we got that positive response from our followers, we were like, yeah, let's do it. So it
Yeah.
was never really like, oh, I'm gonna do this. It was just it kind of like lined up, and we were like, okay, let's just kind of go with it.
Right. Right. So I'm interested because when you look at your pictures on Instagram, your social media, they look really, really good. And I look at them and say, I gotta get those. Why did you choose this industry? That's the intriguing part for me.
hmm Yeah, so my mom is actually a baker. So she is really who inspired us. We
It's
were
in the
always helping
genes.
her bake during. Yeah, literally,
Right.
yeah, it really is.
Right.
We
That's
owe it
great.
all to her, honestly.
That's great.
Yeah, we grew up always helping her really during the holidays when she would
Uh-huh.
be baking because that's kind of like what she would do as a gift for people. She would bake things.
Uh-huh.
So, me being the youngest, I'm just like I got no one to hang out with but my mom. So I would help
Uh-huh.
her bake, and that's kind of like where it came from.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Carried it down through the genes. That's awesome. It really is.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Thank
so
you.
look, like I said, looking at your Instagram, looking at your story, and I follow you a lot. I love what you're doing. I love this whole business model. So, what were
Thank
some
you.
of the challenges that you are faced with creating this? I know, the next question is going to be about the pandemic, but you can go ahead and,
Mhm.
put that in there if you need to. I'm just, the next question is, what are some of the challenges that you face getting this going? I know, you had your dad helping you as much as he could, you know,
Mhm.
tell our listeners
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, I think the biggest challenge, was that our dad was sick, and we were trying to start this business and do this business so we can make some money to support the fact that he was, sick.
Hmm.
Um, but And, I guess, like, fast forward, he did pass away 5 months after, so the biggest challenge at that time was, deciding, "Okay, do we need to take this break, for our mental health to do what we gotta do, and hopefully our customers will be there when we come back." I think that was a really tough decision for me, in the sense that I was kinda torn, like, I knew I needed to do what I needed to do for my mental health, but I also was like, "This business is doing, well."
Uh-huh.
But in the end, we came back. I took a break, I think, for about, I wanna say maybe like 5 months, honestly. It was a really difficult time for me, so I took a
Mhm.
break, and came back, and yeah, like, luckily, our followers were very supportive and welcomed us back with open arms, and we've
Yeah.
been back ever since, but,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that was a huge challenge when
Yeah.
that all kinda happened.
Right. And I want to, say I'm sorry to hear about your dad passing. I know my dad passed at a very young age, and I know what that's like,
Yeah.
and the struggles and the challenges of getting, beyond, the death of a parent. It's very difficult,
Mhm. Yeah,
and I
especially at a young age.
yeah, yeah, I was 22 and he was 49. And
Oh,
how old was your
wow.
dad? Yeah, how?
My dad, he was 59 and I was 22 at the time. So we were the same age. I
Same
turned
age.
23 the month after he passed.
Yeah, so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
It's a
Thank
challenge,
you.
and kudos to your family for sticking this out and and pushing through and really making it happen. I think as I read some, you could tell your our audience a little bit about it. I read some of your story about the things he did for you that helped you get through this and get this thing going.
Yeah, he
Because
was.
he's a
He
big
was
part of
always
this,
our
right? Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Like, really, the whole reason this business even exists is because of him. Like,
Mhm.
down to the name. Like, if I can just break down what Matelna actually means, because that's a question a lot of people ask. Like, what is Matelna?
Yeah.
But basically, it's a combination of my brother, my sister, and my name, and it's actually what my dad would refer to the three of us when we were growing up. So my brother's name is Matthew. My sister Melissa, her middle name is what my family calls her is Crystal. So that's where the tell comes from. And then my middle name is Christiana. So that's the NA of Matelna. So
That is
yeah,
very
that's
creative. I like that. Because that was my
yeah.
question. I was so intrigued. I cannot wait to interview her so I can hear how'd you get this name, because it's such a unique name. That is so creative.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's all my dad. He was a very creative dude.
That
So,
is very
uh,
cool.
but yeah, back to your question though about how he helped us. Yeah, like I don't know if you've seen, we talk about him a lot on our social media, but he would sit on the couch. He was already pretty sick at this point. And he would sit on the couch and like help us build boxes, like our cinnamon roll boxes.
Mhm.
And he was super weak at the time, but he was like, "I'm gonna do what I can do to help, even if it's just building boxes." So
Mhm.
that's a pretty core memory for us, like remembering him. He was in his like weakest time, but still like being our biggest fan and supporter. So
Right. That's something to really honor. Having him. And that's what I was going to say.
yeah.
I said, didn't your dad play a very important role in helping his business
Mm,
go and building those boxes? I
mhm.
think that's a huge help, because who wants to build boxes, right? I don't want to do that either.
Right? No one wants to do
Right.
that.
So who builds your boxes now?
So now we discovered pre-built boxes, so we don't have to sit there and put the tab in each lock. So that shows you how preliminary stage we were at that time.
Right. So let's talk about that, right? So you took this where you started in your kitchen, right? You took this business model
Uh-huh.
where you're in your
Mhm,
home, it's COVID time, you're not working, we're building this business. Let's talk about
mhm,
how you've progressed from just in your home and now
mhm.
where you're at today. Tell our listeners about
Yeah.
where you're at today and what exciting things you have going on now.
Yeah, so it's all pretty recent as of just the beginning of September. We actually have now transitioned into a licensed commercial kitchen. And what that means is a lot for us. So we aren't baking out of the home anymore. So we can expand our menu. We can now service outside of Maryland. Because before, it's called a cottage baker, so there's very strict rules about what you can and can't make, and then you can also only sell it in Maryland. So
Mhm.
now that we're in a licensed facility, we're actually able to sell anywhere, and we can go to DC, Virginia, whatever. And we can also obviously, build or not build, but bake at bigger capacities because it's a larger space. So
Right.
this just like really opens up so many opportunities for us, and it's a scary time, but it's really exciting at the same time. And actually last night was our very first night baking in the new facility, and we were there unfortunately from 8 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. Baking. So if I sound a little raspy today, I'm really sorry. I'm just really tired.
Wow, that's impressive. So this is your first time baking, and how did it turn out? Everything go well?
To be completely transparent with you, no. Um,
There
feeling
were
a little
hiccups.
feeling a little defeated, but it's okay. I think it's also important for other business owners who might be listening um to hear the truth that like
Hmm.
it's not gonna be perfect, and I think that I took it really hard, when I looked at everything and things were just not going the way that I wanted it because it's a new facility, it's brand new equipment to us, it's a brand new process. It's just not what we've been doing out of our home. So it
Right.
does take a learning curve, and I don't think I was fully prepared for that, and
Hmm.
things did not honestly turn out too well. We do have an event going on tomorrow, but I think we can still salvage some stuff that is going to be okay for tomorrow. But
Hmm.
no, it did not go smooth. To answer your question.
And I'm glad you hit it that way because
Yeah.
that's why I love what I do because
Mhm,
in interviewing business owners and the other part of my business with the review process, I
mhm,
talk about how we want to know the truth,
mhm,
and I think it's important about businesses is people want to know the truth, people want to
mhm,
know what they struggle with and how they got where
mhm,
they are and what they're working on. And I think that's a bold move that you come on and said, it didn't go well
mhm.
last night, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's also really important because I myself I'm so hard on myself, and with social media and Instagram, as we all know, everyone just showcases their best moments and everything looks smooth and perfect and everyone got it right on the first try. But like it's really not like that. And even when we started in our home, it took us forever to actually get our recipe down, our cinnamon roll recipe down. And I don't want to come on here and lie and be like, yeah, everything went great and we got it, first try, because that's
And we're ready to
is just
serve you
totally not.
tomorrow morning.
Right. Come get
Right.
your buns hot and fresh.
Right. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that. How long did it take to say perfect your cinnamon roll recipe?
Yeah. Let me see. Well, we were doing it pretty often. I would say probably we maybe hmm. It's so long ago now, to be honest, that it's kind of hard to remember, but it definitely took some time. We
Yeah.
probably took maybe like 20, 30 tries, honestly, to get it the way I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
those 20, 30, they were good and they were, they were edible, but like it's not like what I wanted, what it is now, I should say, like
Yeah.
after doing it a million times, it's how I want it now. But yeah, it
Hmm.
probably took 30 tries to really get it down, because dough is really finicky. Like you really have to, it's like you really have to be very careful with it, and the temperature matters and all this stuff. So it's, and to be honest with you, we never made cinnamon rolls before.
Hmm.
Like before that time when we were like, does anyone want to order cinnamon rolls? Like, I don't know why we chose cinnamon rolls as if we were experts in it. Like we
Right.
really weren't. So that's actually kind of funny. But yeah, now we are. But
It's interesting, right? Because like somebody like me, right? I go to the store, I buy rolls, cinnamon rolls, whatever I buy, and
Mhm.
you look at it like, well, it's just ingredients. You throw it together, you mix it up, you bake it, you put it in a container, and it's good. But we don't
Mm,
realize what really is involved in the
yeah.
measurements, the
Yeah.
timing.
Yes.
You can stir it too much, you can stir it not enough, you can bake it too
Yeah.
long, you can bake it not enough, and
Exactly. It's a
so much
science.
right, so much that goes into the
Mhm.
science of making a cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
And not
Yeah,
just
it's
any
hard
cinnamon
work.
roll, right? A Matelna baked cinnamon roll.
Yeah, yeah, it's rough
Yes,
sometimes,
because I
but
do want to let the audience know that I have not tried your cinnamon bun yet, and I cannot wait to try that.
yeah, you need to. You're always
Yes,
in our comments supporting us, and I'm like, when's he gonna actually buy some to try
I
some?
know. And that's part of the process of what I do is I like to do the interviews first. I like
Mhm,
to get the story, and then I go make a visit to the location, or in your case, get and
mhm.
then do a review on that experience. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That that's my process.
Yeah. It makes sense. I respect it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So we did, mentioned a little bit, about you started during COVID when everything was shut down, and obviously the next question I usually ask is, so how has the pandemic changed your business model? Because you started in the height of it. Can you give us a little insight on the whole process COVID drove to what you're doing?
Sure. So, well, like I said, for a little bit, I took some time off of the business. So when I got back into it, I kind of had to figure out the model, because we were just working out of our home.
Hmm.
So we would do like contactless pickup. So we would have like a table outside, and then the customer would text us when they were here, and then we would put it on a table for them. And that's kind of how we navigated the whole COVID situation, social
Hmm.
distancing and stuff. But to be honest, I don't really think that other than that, it really affected us too much. It was just like a side. It has been a side part-time thing for me. So it wasn't I wasn't putting all my 100% energy into it, which is what I plan to do now. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't feel like COVID really affected us too much, luckily, because we kind of started in the home. We weren't already in like a public place, you know what I mean?
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of success that came out of COVID for a lot of restaurants and food trucks, who COVID has really made them, successful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, like, during COVID, I just remember that, everyone became a baker. Like, everyone was baking, and at
That is
one
so
point, me
true.
and yeah, everyone was, like, making sourdough, which was, like, really weird. But I remember me and my sister had a hard time finding yeast, because everyone was a baker at
Mhm.
during COVID, because they had nothing to do, and everyone was like, "Oh, I'm gonna learn how to make bread."
Yeah.
So, if anything, I feel like COVID may have helped us a little bit, because yeah, everyone was like wanting to also support small businesses too,
Mhm.
rather than like big, chains and stuff. So in that
Right.
aspect, I think it really did help us, honestly.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm all about: small business, support small business,
Mhm,
local business, and that's a big
mhm,
it's a big part of my heart and soul, man. And I
mhm.
love entrepreneurship, you know.
Oh,
And So, are there any plans? I know you graduated from the home into this.
Mhm.
Do you
Mhm.
foresee any plans of brick and mortar in your future?
I pray for one. I hope so.
That's
That
great. That's
is,
good to hear.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
goal. That's definitely the goal.
Yeah.
When I picture, our business, that's what I want, and I think that's what my dad really would want to, and he knows that we can do, and I know we can do. So this step is a really big step towards that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think I don't have a timeline for you, but I'm hoping within the next 5 years, I want to say.
Hmm.
But yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah. So we gotta make sure you perfect this the new kitchen the kitchen
Yes.
process here first, right?
Yes, exactly. Give me
One
some
step
time
at
to
a
perfect
time.
that. Exactly.
Give you one step at a time, right?
Yeah.
That's great. So, how do we reach out to you? How do we find you? Tell us all about your website, social media. How do we
Mhm.
contact you?
Yep. So, pretty much all our social media is at Matelna Bakes, and so right now we are just doing events, pop ups, stuff like that for the remainder of this year. So, if
Mhm.
you follow us on, I would preferably say Instagram because that's where we post on the most. You can find where we're going to be at. So tomorrow, well, I don't know when you're actually going to post this podcast, but tomorrow, September 30th, we'll be in downtown Silver Spring. We'll be in Cabin John on October 8th. And then we've got a few other things around the Montgomery County area for the
Mhm.
remainder of the year. So, yeah, we also are happy to do like private orders, like catering orders and stuff. So you can
Mhm.
just reach out to us on either Instagram or we have our email, which is matelnabakes@gmail.
So, how far out do you go? I know you said you're shipping now, right?
Shipping? No, we're not shipping right now.
You're not shipping. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
So it is we make them, you pick up, or you don't get them.
Yeah, pretty much. So we
Okay.
were doing when we were in our home, we were doing like pre-orders weekly so you could order and then pick up that weekend, but
Mm.
now since we're in the kitchen, it's just that model isn't really going to work for us anymore. So
Yeah.
unfortunately right now it's just find us when you can at our events.
Right. Right. And that's what's holding me back because I have to. It's a little bit of a drive for me, but I'm going to make it because I got to do this. Now this podcast is going to be. I'm going to probably post this later this evening once I get it
Oh,
edited.
okay. Okay.
So we'll definitely
Awesome.
get it posted up as fast as I can for you.
Okay.
But
Where are
yeah,
you located?
I'm in Harford County.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so just a few counties away. It's a little. It's
Okay.
probably I'd say maybe 45 minutes to an hour from you guys.
Are you, is Frederick any closer to you?
That's way off. That's way west.
Oh, wait, west. Okay, sorry. I'm
Yeah.
not good at geography. Okay.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Yep. I'm north of you.
Okay.
So if you follow the 95 corridor, I'm just straight north up 95
Got
on
it.
the other
Okay.
side of the tunnels. Yep.
Well, yeah, we can always make it work. I'm happy to meet you halfway or anything. Like this has been an awesome opportunity. So whenever we can make that work, just let me know.
Yeah, I have a couple other stops that are going to be down by you. So
Okay.
what I'm looking to do now, since this podcast has been almost completed today. Yes, I'm excited. um, I have I have someone for lunch, and then I can
Mhm.
hit you for dessert, so I can make it a day trip.
See, there you
Yeah, I'm getting a little plan together here. Get my
go.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Just make it a run. Oh man. So, would you like to offer a discount to our listeners?
Yeah, sure. So
Awesome.
if yeah, how do you want to set that up?
Totally up to you.
Okay. Let's see. I guess like if they come to one of our events, they can give us like a code and then we can give them a 10% off their order.
Yeah,
Um,
just mention the podcast. How's that?
yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, just mention the
Awesome.
podcast, you get 10% off.
Sounds like a plan. Really appreciate it.
Of
Thank you.
course.
That's awesome.
Of course.
Well, Maris, do you have anything else you want to add for our listeners before we wrap up?
No, no, I don't. Thank you so much for for bringing me on here and being so persistent too. I know you've asked me for months now, so thank you for for being so patient with my
You're very
crazy
welcome.
schedule.
You're very welcome. And that's the thing, I don't rush these things. It'll happen on your time, when you're ready to do it. And
Mhm,
I'm very honored and grateful that, people are really taken to my podcast and they love telling their story and people love to listen to these stories. That's why I love doing it.
mhm.
It's something that part of my business model that I love, you know.
You actually you interviewed Chris from Catalyst Hot Dogs recently,
Yes, I
and
did.
that's one of my friends. Well, I actually know him through my boyfriend. He's Chris's neighbor, so he connected with us, and Chris was actually wholesaling, or I was wholesaling my cookies to Chris, and he was selling them on his truck. So when I saw that he got on your podcast, I was like, oh my god, that's so
how
funny.
how awesome is that? Because now
Yeah.
he is the guy I'm going to. That he's going to be my lunch.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
So we're gonna have to get together now. We'll have to make it. I'll get the buns and the hot dog at the same time, and we can
Exactly.
do another podcast all together.
That'd be so awesome.
That'd
Yeah,
be really cool.
Chris is awesome. He is a really awesome guy. I'm happy you got him on your podcast. He's an inspiration to me. He doesn't even know it, but he works hard and
Oh, that's
he's
great.
thriving, and I hope to meet the goals that he's met. He's awesome.
Yeah, and completing his podcast and then following his social media, he's got some good product. You know,
Oh yeah,
like
we
yeah,
literally go get his food probably like at least once a month. I
yeah,
would do it more often if I wasn't worried about my health, but
yeah. That's
it's
the other part,
so
right?
good.
Exactly.
His food is so good.
I see some of his stuff and like, man, it looks so good, but oh my gosh, I don't know if my veins and heart can take that.
Right. And they're like, "Oh, it's fine. I'll just go for a walk."
Right. I hit the treadmill for 3 hours. I'll be good.
It's worth it though. Totally worth it.
Yes. Maris, thank you so much for coming on. I really
Of
appreciate
course.
the time and I cannot wait to meet you and try your buns and listeners, get down there and try these buns. Thank you again so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
You too. You too.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast with your host, Charles Luttrell. Connect with us on the web at qacteam.com, Facebook and Instagram at qac.team. Thanks for listening.